you should be a monster. You should be ruthlessly ambitious and then learn how to control it. And it's that old expression, it's better to be a warrior in a garden than a gardener out
If I woke up tomorrow 30% body fat, this is exactly what I would do to get my shit back down to 6% or finding a space that I'm happy with. But when I've gone from 30 to 6, I know everything in between. I know how to control myself up and down, and I can go down to 6 in a minute and I can go up to 30 in a minute, right? With control. First thing I would do is understand my internal markers. I would want to understand where I am internally before I start this journey, right? Because I've got to set my mind to create massive intensity, be super intentional, but also have the conviction that my body is set up to do the things I want it to do. A lot of people start their journey and then they justify they can't get to where they are because of some autoimmune issue or some other thing that they've inherited or been told. Well, you don't know until you know. So the first thing is get your blood work done, especially if you're a guy over 35, right? When you get your blood work done, you're able to know exactly where your markers are. You're able to understand, am I in a position to even grow muscle? Does my body have the ability to burn fat? Where are my cholesterol numbers? Where are my growth hormone numbers? Where's my testosterone numbers? So many different markers are available to tell us exactly what's going on. And that was the first step that I did over 3.5 years ago when I started this journey. Was I wanted to make sure that something wasn't wrong with me. I was actually probably hoping that something was wrong with me and that they would just give me some magic pill. But fortunately, I was healthy, and that's what the doctor told me. He just said, you got to make better life choices. You got to exercise more, and you got to put better things in your body. And that was it. There was no just TRT. There was no growth hormone. There was no peptide at that stage. It was just very simple. You need to make better lifestyle choices and implement better habits. Step 1 is do the blood work, right? Find out where you are. Step 2, you've got to set the foundation. You have to understand that this is a journey. This isn't going to happen overnight. The work and the damage that you've done to your body, to your belief system, to your thoughts, it didn't happen overnight, so the change isn't going to happen overnight. However, we can create a state where we automatically start connecting to the new version of ourselves. And we're convicted that every step that we take brings us closer to that new best version of ourselves. So we always have to remain hopeful and motivated that the steps we are taking today are bringing us closer to ourselves. So the mindset has to be there. The mindset and the conviction that I'm asking you to have comes from, very simply, having a plan in place. And we need 2 plans, which brings me to point number 2. We need to understand what style of training are we going to get engaged with on a daily basis. Now, if you're a guy over 35, there's lots of different things. You can do MMA, you can do Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, you can do karate, you can do wrestling, you can do softball, you can do mountain biking, you can do weightlifting, you can do powerlifting. All these different things are available. What's important at this stage, guy, is that you understand, what do I like doing and what can I see myself getting invested in? Not only invested in the habit of doing it, but invested in the information behind the habit. How do I do this properly, right? What are the right resources? What's the right gear? What's the right form? Like, those are things that are going to pull you closer to a healthier habit. That healthier habit is something you want because you want to be engaged in what you're going to do. Initially, it's going to be some heavy lifting because you're going after something that is uncomfortable, but because you have an interest in it and you also have a little bit of a conviction that you need to do this, you'll start taking the necessary steps forward to get closer, or at least build enough momentum. So 1, we understand that we're set up for success from our internal blood markers. Or within one, we have an understanding of where we are so we can make the correct adjustments with training and nutrition to get those markers optimized. So step 2 is picking the right style of training, that complements your lifestyle and that you enjoy. For me, that was bodybuilding. I evaluated all the things on the table, and when I looked at bodybuilding, it gave me the greatest feeling that I wanted, which to feel good in my skin. I wanted to feel good about myself. I wanted the clothes to feel differently on my body, and I wanted people to look at me differently. So when I looked at all the other sports, I didn't see that happening in mountain biking or Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu or basketball or softball or HIIT training. They were something that I was engaged in for a short period of time, but at the end of the day, if I didn't look the part, that I wanted to look or feel the way I wanted to feel, I was going to lose interest in the habit. So for me, I wanted to choose a path, and that was weightlifting, which I knew was something that was going to be critical for me as a man as I got older, was to increase my muscle density. So I think that's important regardless of the sport that you pick. Whether it's running or cycling or swimming, you got to hold on to that muscle mass. We start losing it after 35, so you got to find ways to incorporate weight training. So for me, that was the path that I picked. Now, 3 is finding a nutrition plan that also complements your goals and your activity. This is the crucial piece. So many people get it wrong. We need to understand the macronutrient breakdowns based on the activity, based on the output, and based on the desired look and feel that we're going for at this stage of our life. Again, it doesn't have to be bodybuilding. This can be any sport that you choose, one that you're passionate about. If you ride a bike for 50 miles, then you're going to need a very specific type of meal plan. You want to make sure that that is set in place so that you know you've got enough fuel to get you through the ride, and you also have enough fuel to support the recovery of the ride, not only before and during, but throughout. And that applies to anything else we're talking about here, guys, in terms of activity. We need enough activity to keep us engaged so that we're putting out the output. So now we can put foods into our body that fuel us and nourish us, not put us on our heels, make us tired, make us lethargic, shut down things and start breaking things for us. We're giving our body the fuel, the gasoline it needs to continue to drive us forward towards our goals, towards the person we're supposed to be. This is the critical thing. We've used food, myself included, as a tool of reward, but that reward comes at the punishment of our own body and our own mind and our own thoughts. Because if you don't think your body is suffering when you're putting in fried foods and things that are just highly processed, and that doesn't impact your mind and your thoughts and your attitude and how you show up in the world, then you're slightly mistaken, because that is actually the fact. That is what happens, and I can tell you, if you pull some of these things out, you will see the clarity, and you will know how well you've been under the influence of that power of food. So we've got to pick a plan that has foods on it that we like. 2, it has foods that we can see ourselves prepping easily. And 3, it fits into our schedule. Can we consume these within our day as we go about our day? This was something that is critical. So that's step 3, is finding that right nutrition plan that not only supports our goals, but also our lifestyle. 4 for this is the recovery aspect, right? For me, I was pushing. But I didn't know, was I pushing too hard? Was I recovering well enough? And that can lead to excuses. Well, I'm too old, I'm not recovering, because I did start to see lots of aches and pains as I was overtraining. So one of the first things that I did to monitor my sleep was I got a wearable. I invested in Whoop, and Whoop shows me not only the output that I have on a daily basis, like, hey, here's how much strain you put on your body, but 2, here's how well your body's recovered today from yesterday's strain. And then 3, here's how well you're sleeping and how well you're recovering. And in that sleep, here's how much of that is recovery. That really gamified the process for me. I'd wake up. How did I do? How did I sleep? Deep sleep. And it also allows you to track your habits. So I started putting in habits like eating after 8, consuming sugar, drinking alcohol, sleeping past 6. And I would start to see in the Whoop, in tracking and monitoring my progress or activity and my habits, I would see daily, wow, when I drank alcohol, I showed up like 20% less recovery. And I wasn't responding well. My sleep quality went down and my recovery went down. And same thing when I ate with sugar. So these little trackers that helped me be accountable started to give me the data I needed to say, wow, this is not supporting my goal anymore. And that's how I slowly pulled out alcohol and sugar and eating after 9 o'clock. When I started to pull those things out, guess what naturally happened? I woke up happier, right? I had more energy. When I did my blood work 90 days later, my growth hormone had almost doubled. My testosterone had increased 40 or 50 points, all from making different lifestyle changes. Within 90 days, all of this happened. I had dropped almost 15 pounds. So those things happen from those 4 pillars. So again, if I woke up tomorrow 30% body fat, these are the steps I would take, right? I would, 1, understand exactly what's going on inside. 2, I would decide with my mindset who I wanted to become. 3, I would pick a very specific style of training that helped get me to where I wanted to go and that I'd be passionate about. 4, I would accompany that with the right type of nutrition plan. 5, I would work on tracking and holding myself accountable to recovery, to output, to sleep. And then 6 is I would get somebody to hold you accountable, whether you're doing it in an app or a community or a system. I found that when I did it alone, it took me 3 times as long. When I invested in a coach, within 90 days, I was able to get a really clear grasp on where I was, where I wanted to go, and every other week I was calibrating whether or not I was on target or off target. And that's really important, right? It's, yes, we want to set the path, but we also need somebody there that can be an extra set of eyeballs and say, hey, we need to calibrate here, right? We're slightly inflamed. We've gone up in weight and we should be going down. Something's going on with digestion. Something is happening in gut health. Something is happening with inflammation. We want to pick that stuff up early and often so that we stay engaged, so that we stay committed, so that we stay excited, so that we continue to believe that shit's happening for us. This is the things, guys, that 3.5 years, I kept searching and searching, trying to get these pieces. How do I stay motivated? How do I keep getting the results? How do I look at myself in the mirror tomorrow and feel good about what I'm doing? Even though I put in a shit ton of work this week and I climbed 10,000 stairs and I've done the cardio, when does it show up in the mirror? And I promise you it will. It's a big fucking puzzle. It's pretty complicated. But once you get the right pieces of the puzzle and you have the right guide to tell you how you want to construct those pieces together, the fucking magic happens. And when the magic happens, guys, you become the captain of your own ship. You understand how to push and pull calories. You know how to get your muscles popping when you want them popping. You understand that when you're flat, you're burning fat. You understand that there's a little bit of fat that gets put on top of the muscle and under the skin when we're bulking, but that's a feel we want. You can chase those feelings once you get them, but you've got to be able to understand what are the pieces to the puzzle and how do I put them together in my life to make sure that the picture is perfect. And that just takes these 4, 5, 6 pillars. So these are pieces. You've got to do them in a very smart order, and you've got to make sure that you're measuring along the way. So that's exactly what I would do, dog. That is all the information that I have accumulated over 3 years. Hopefully that helps. And again, this is all stuff that we cover and teach men in our 8-week challenge. So if you're interested in trying to take your physique to the next level, do yourself a favor, click the link somewhere in this video and check out our 8-week challenge, or hop on a call with me and I'll help you understand where you are, where you're trying to go, and I'll help see if we can put together a blueprint for you. All right, fellas, till the next one. If you haven't already, please like and subscribe. It helps the channel and it helps me. I want to make more of these videos with passion and purpose for you. Cheers.